3 feet's happening already.
Good morning, everyone. About half a minute and we'll begin. So get yourself relaxed, comfortable. Hi, I'm Reverend Ann Ahokangas. Join with me in consciousness as I guide you in this meditation. Let's enter into the question, what is the meaning of Passover and the Holy Week for me? In this moment, I recognize that this experience can be a time of growing spiritually, a time of overcoming false, negative, and old outworn beliefs and ways of being. This is a time of remembering the truth. So I take a deep breath and relax. And I welcome all the insights my inner wisdom provides as I explore this sacred time. I open my awareness to the energy of pure principle. I open my awareness to the guidance. Today I see the story of Jesus as a teacher and an example. I look for the deeper meaning in Jesus being crucified. And how often have I felt that experience? In this moment, I recall Jesus' words as he referred to spirit within as the Father. Sometimes he called it the kingdom. He was referring to the oneness. Jesus looked at these people who were crucifying him, and from that center of his own being, he said, "Father, forgive them. They know not what they do." And from the depths of his own divinity, he recognized the depths of the divinity of each one of them, and knew that if they were in tune with that divinity, they couldn't and wouldn't do what they were doing at that moment. At that moment, he also knew that as long as he stayed in tune with his own truth, there could be no harm. He knew he was more than his body. And so in your own experience right now, if there is someone or some people out there that you think are crucifying you, then let's get a little closer to home. What are the thoughts within your consciousness? Are there feelings of hatred, of fear, of unworthiness? And if you feel an inner crucifixion, let it go. And know that these thoughts come from an awareness of separation. You can, in this moment, simply allow the awareness of wholeness, Allow it to just radiate through you. You can choose to forgive yourself. To forgive yourself for having forgotten the wholeness. In this moment, you may have forgotten who and what you are. Say to yourself, I let it go. I forgive myself. Even as the flow of Spirit always forgives me. There was a thief next to Jesus who said, Remember me when thou comest into the kingdom. He was a thief being punished, and he turned to Jesus, who was a teacher, and said, Remember me when you get there. And being the wonderful teacher that Jesus was, he reminded him right in that moment by saying, Assuredly, I say to you, today you will be with me in paradise. It's a reminder to each of us right now. Right now, you're in paradise. What was he saying? Let's look at the thief for a moment. How is this a personal experience? Regardless of where you are, what experiences you are going through, like this thief was at the bottom of the barrel, yet still he knew there was something more. And perhaps he was not feeling worthy enough to embrace it himself. He asked this other one, Jesus, Remember me when you get there. And this wonder-filled teacher reminded him right then and said, Assuredly, I say to you, today you will be with me in paradise. So take a deep breath now. And remember, no matter what you're going through, there is always something within you that says you are more than this. Reach higher. Expand your consciousness. Respect yourself. And don't look for anyone else to do it for you. It's already in you. It is in your own reality if you choose it. And looking at yourself now, in whatever circumstance you're facing, can you stop and say to yourself this moment, I am already in the kingdom. Everything always works out for me. Spirit is my strength and my support. It is my reality. And then in Scripture, there were those words that perhaps have puzzled more people than any other words. When Jesus cried out, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? And yet Bible scholars tell us the interpretation is not valid. That accurately interpreted, it really says, my God, for this was I kept. My God, for this was I kept. All I've been doing, all I've been unfolding, all I've been working for, and all I've been working from this inner wisdom, this center of wholeness and light, is for this moment of ultimate truth. Staying on the path, to stay on the path, to trust, even when circumstances are frightening. And yet I've kept on, trusting in that inner spirit that can never leave me. Feel that peace now. Feel this inner assurance. It doesn't say there's nothing for you to do. It says there's a lot for you to do. But let your doing, deciding, and being come from this center of oneness, from this security of wholeness, from this place of light, from this unchanging source. From this love, whether you call it God, or the universe, or the higher power, or just pure love. Just give way to it. Just surrender to it. And then when Jesus looked and saw this woman, Mary, who was his mother, and he saw his beloved friend John, he said, "Yea, Mary, behold your son." And to John he said, "Behold, your mother." Recognizing and affirming that we're all part of a spiritual family. At another time, in another circumstance, Jesus said, "Who is my mother? Who are my brothers?" All these who think as I do. Everyone who accepts the wholeness. This spirit, divine energy, source that we're all part of. Everyone who will say that within each one there is a spark of divinity. And in that divinity there is no separation. We are all related. Each one a unique expression of the wholeness that we call God. And everyone originates from this oneness. So what is family? Who are those people you feel closest to? Those people where there is a communication, an awareness of a common union. So who is your family? First, it's the family of your own thoughts, your own feelings, that innermost family. And then as you look at people around you, in your circle of work, and your circle of relatives, and your new circle of relationships, see your family grow. The circle gets bigger and bigger as you recognize more and more who and what you are. And this gives everyone else the same freedom, the same privilege to recognize their divine inheritance. And then Jesus uttered those beautiful words, "I thirst." How often have you felt, "I want to know more"? There is so much more. And it satisfies me to know what I know, and to know that as I need to know, there is so much more. I don't feel it as an emptiness. I am grateful for it. I know there is nothing I have to reach for out there. but to accept it within me, right here. To allow it, to give way to it. It's a mighty energy. It's a magnificent spiritual idea, and it's alive with creative energy. And I surrender to it. It is who I am. No one can take it from me. No one can surrender to it but me. I let my thirst and my hunger be for spiritual awareness. I let it feed me and support me and nourish me. I let it be my strength, my wisdom, my courage. I say, Spirit, fill my awareness with all I require. I give myself fully and totally to Spirit. I relax into it. I allow. I know there is nothing I can plan that would be better than what the infinite is revealing. And I have faith in this energy, faith in the law and the very source of my being. I give way to the divine plan. I stay receptive to its inspiration and guidance. I know the universe can do no more for me than it can do through me. I am willing. I surrender. I allow it. I am open. I say, I do. Then, in this wonderful state of knowing that all is well and good, these beautiful words are acted upon by the law of mind. It is done. In consciousness, it is all done. The outer manifestation may take a little way to go yet, to come forth, but it is done in consciousness, in awareness, in understanding. So I take a moment now to get in touch with that within me that I feel is stirring so strongly. I feel the desire, the readiness, and without defining it, without deciding how or when, but recognizing it as a spiritual idea, a divine idea, knowing it comes out of the energy that I call spirit, that everything exists in the place I call divine mind. It is everywhere present. In complete assurance, I know it is done, and I am ready. I am willing. I just give way to it. And that within me, all the love I feel, all the assurance, I feel the encouragement of everyone who believes as I do. I let it well up within me. And I say, yes. And so it is.
Good morning, everyone. This is a really wonderful day. We have lovely sunshine for Easter Sunday. Welcome to Unity Spiritual Center of Hamilton. Welcome to those of you here in the sanctuary, as well as those who are online. I am Marcia Daly, your presider. Anyone here for the first time? Lovely. We welcome you, and please see me after the service. I have a special gift for you. We are a tithing center, so 10% of all we receive goes back out into the community to bless and serve. And this month, as well as this second quarter of the year, we are supporting Interval House of Hamilton and Unity Canada. So our first song is I Am the Place Where God Shows Up, music and lyrics written by Eddie Watkins and sung for us by our very own Emilio Zaris.
Am I strong enough to bear the burdens that sometimes come, living the thing called life? Am I wise enough to make the right decisions when I'm standing at the fork in the road? Sometimes I wonder and ponder, only to realize I'm not alone, and there's nothing I have to do on my own, because I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. Will I have enough to do the things I need to do to take care of myself? Will I have the health of mind and body to live a life of grace and wholeness? Sometimes I wonder and ponder, only to realize I'm not alone, and there's nothing I have to do on my own, because I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place. You are the place. We are the place where God shows up. See, I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up.
Wow, look at you beautiful people. And those of you online, I can see you. Remember the friendly giant when he would pull up his magnifying glass? I can see you. Oh, it's so great to be back. I spent a week on a cruise ship and a week going to the cruise and a week coming back from the cruise. And I was just sharing with Marcia how wonderful it was to be in a room that had a balcony, and the balcony is glass. So when I'm lying in my bed, I could actually see the ocean. And when we were at sea, it was rocking me to sleep. Like, it was just beautiful. And one of the ladies, Jean, asked me, well, did you do all of the activities? I said, no, I really needed a vacation. And so I had a couple of audiobooks, and I either sat on my balcony, or I sat by the pool, or I was in the pool. And so I'm refreshed, relaxed, and ready to rock and roll. So let's start with one of my favorite things to do, and that is to set intention and to connect with the truth of my being. And so I will speak this in the first person, present tense, and positive, because I believe there is only one thing going on here, and that's spirit. So close your eyes if that's comfortable, and take a deep breath in. As I breathe and relax, I allow my awareness to move from my head to my heart. Deep within me is the infinite, the divine, the all that is. And as I connect to this place, I know that possibility is who I am. Love is who I am. And so on this beautiful Easter Sunday, I accept and know that love is, and I am. So with a grateful heart, with joy in my step, I move forward in this day, filled with love and wonderful anticipation of how this day, this week, this life of mine unfolds. I let go and I let it be so. Please join with me in affirming. And so it is. And of course, up, up to a higher place.
We're rising. Up, up, up to a higher place. Up, 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 far beyond this time and space. Up, up, up to a higher place. I feel my soul rising to a higher place. Sing it with me. Up, up, up to a higher place. Up, 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 far beyond this time and space. Up, up, up to a higher place. I feel my soul rising to a higher place. A higher place, higher place. I feel my soul rising to a higher place. No more forward, no more backward, no more spinning around and around. My life is moving ever upwards. My feet are leaving the ground. Up, up, up to a higher place. Up, 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 far beyond this time and space. Up, up, up to a higher place. I feel my soul rising to a higher place. A higher place, higher place. I feel my soul rising to a higher place. No more downward, no more darkness, no more wondering the point of it all. My life is destined, oh, for greatness. My soul has answered the call. Up, up, up to a higher place. Up, 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 far beyond this time and space. Up, up, up to a higher place. I feel my soul rising to a higher place. A higher place, higher a higher place, higher place. I feel my soul rising to a higher place. I feel my higher place, higher place. I feel my soul rising to a higher place, a higher place, higher place.
Thank you, Emilio. Today's absolute word is power. And the affirmation is, I am spiritual beingness expressing great power. In this moment, I affirm there is only one power and presence that is fundamentally my life. God, the universal principle, which includes the principle of benevolence. This universal principle is the resource underlying all things. I claim my spiritual superpowers now. My power of will is my ability to choose. I use it with the powers of understanding and wisdom. In all situations, I choose to be victorious. No thought, situation, or circumstance can hold me back. I am stronger than any doubt from within or any judgment from without. I have the power to conquer any self-limiting thoughts that might otherwise hold me back. I align my thoughts with my highest intentions, envisioning health, abundance, love, and success. I affirm, I am love, I am peace, I am pure strength.
There is no guilt here, there is no shame, no pointing fingers, there is no blame. What happened yesterday has disappeared, the dirt has washed away, and now it's clear. There's only grace, there's only love, there's only mercy, and believe me, it's enough. Your sins are gone without a trace. There's nothing left now, there's only grace. You're starting over now, under the sun. You're stepping forward now, a new life has begun. Your new life has begun. There's only grace, there's only love, there's only mercy, and believe me, it's enough. Your sins are gone without a trace, and there's nothing left now, there's only grace. And if you should fall again, get back up, reach out and take my hand. Get back up, get back up, get back up again. Get back up again. There's only grace, there's only love, there's only mercy, and believe me, it's enough, it's enough. Your sins are gone without a trace, and there's nothing left now. There's only
Wow. You know, you can tell a professional when they hold their notes for so long that I had to take 3 breaths while he was still sitting. Just awesome. Well, as promised, if I ever come across a good joke, I like to tell it, right? So there was this dude, and he went into a bar, and it was a really rough and tumble kind of a place. And he goes up to the bartender and he says, you know, I have a really great blonde joke. And the bartender looks at him and says, you know, you better think about that, because like I'm blonde, 6'5", and big, and the person next to you is blonde and kind of nasty. And then there's another blonde over there, and they're really not that friendly. And then there's the guy at the door who's blonde. Like, maybe you shouldn't tell the blonde joke. And he says, okay, you're probably right, because I'd have to explain it 5 times. No, see, only I could give that because I'm blonde, right? So, so a happy Easter, everybody. So I'd like to explore how Easter can be personal for us, because it, you know, it happened a long time ago. And how is it relevant, and what really did happen 2,000 years ago? So there's a movie that's out right now called The Risen, and I got a free little video clip of when Jesus rose. So let's watch that first.
He's gone.
The Nazarene.
Of course, the Nazarene. His tomb is stone empty.
Who brought this news? The guards?
Your guards are missing. Some simpleton reported it. Who did you put on the detail? I want them found and lashed to death, preferably.
Let me investigate.
Well, that would be helpful before Caiaphas and his pack of raving Jews show up here.
Too late. Tribune. Shall we dispense with lies? The guards have told me.
They came to you.
Seeking sanctuary. I know the penalty for sleeping on duty.
What happened?
Exactly as I had predicted. The heretic's disciples came in the night and stole the body. Already they are proclaiming him risen from death.
Will the people believe it?
The weak will. Others want to. So we must announce the theft.
Will they believe you?
They'll believe the guards. If you don't kill them first.
Endless.
Proclaim it before this blossoms.
It's not enough. Without a corpse to prove him dead, we have a potential Messiah. I want no doubt. Tiberius cannot arrive to unrest. We must find a body. Will you help?
Of course. But proclaim it.
Was my confidence in you misplaced, Tribune? Perhaps you'd prefer a post in hell. You will track down each and every one of these disciples, but more importantly, you will find the corpse of this cursed Yeshua before it rots.
So, you know, Jesus was a real threat, and that's what they're showing there, that even in his death, he was a threat, because if they couldn't find the body, then he would be a Messiah, and they certainly didn't want that. And he was a threat to the established church at the time, too. They thought that he was coming to replace their religion. And so you can just imagine, it was like a lot of fear, really. And he was a threat to the Roman rule. They thought that he was coming to set up a new kingdom, a new city that he would be the head of. And that was not what he was about. But those in power thought that he was. And so there was a great deal of resistance to his being there, and a great deal of fear and confusion in the minds of the people. And so imagine at that time how that must have been. And yet there are a lot of unity scholars and biblical scholars who say that perhaps Jesus never really did exist, and that this was a story told like a metaphor to help us understand the human condition and how we can rise above it. So we can look at it either way. Here at Unity, and the way that I've been taught, certainly, and what I tend to believe today, is that whether he was really in existence or not, whether he was actually a historical figure or not, is irrelevant. It's the story behind it. And I think that it's also been skewed in some forms of religion because they focus on the crucifixion, not on the actual metaphysics of it and what happened. So I'd like to just kind of go into that a little bit. So ultimately he was arrested on trumped up charges and a mock trial and was taken high on a hill, and along with 2 other thieves, he was brutally crucified. And so was that the end? You know, that's what they hoped, the government at the time. And yet it wasn't the end. I mean, this 2,000 some odd years later, we're still talking about this person and what he brought to the world and the wisdom that we've been given about what we're all about. And so they say that 3 days after they found the stone of his tomb rolled away, and many appearances to the disciples and others seem to confirm that he had, in a very real sense, risen from the dead. And that too is interesting, and that could be a whole discussion, but we'll move on from there. So then there's celebrations. All over the world, there's celebrations that he has risen. And that's what we're doing today, is the idea of he has risen. But what's that got to do with you and me? Like, who cares? That was 2,000 some odd years ago. I know that sounds blasphemous, but really, like, what's it got to do with me being able to go out and buy my groceries or have a great conversation with my family members or, you know, or whatever? So what does all this have to do with you and me? If this Easter tradition has any meaning at all for our life today, then let's hear it loud and clear and in very simple terms. And these are my ideas, so you can buy into them if you choose, and if not, that's fine. I'd like to give you something to think about. So there is something in the Easter story that says to each of us, I want to live in you. That's why it has hung on for so long. There's something calling to be understood, to be expressed. So I don't want you to just talk about it. I don't want you to sit back and sing songs about it and listen to the story and go on and say, oh, another Easter. Because then it's just another Easter. And what was it really? Easter is saying that I want to live in you. I want to raise you from death to life. Because I don't know about you, but if you've ever sort of walked down the street and looked at some of the people walking along, they do seem dead, don't they? Like they're not here. They're not experiencing life. They're not in joy, in love, in peace. And I think Easter is saying, I want to help you find a way from defeat to victory. That there's something in that story that can allow you to not feel defeated. And I want you to be a process from sickness to health, from failure to victory, to success. I want to live in you. And so what is that story in Easter that allows us to know that we can overcome anything? That we really, truly can rise up from whatever has happened in our lives? Because that's really what Easter is talking about. So how can someone who's dead rise? Well, we see that example every day, not in the physical sense of actually croaking, though there are people who have had near-death experiences who talk about that, about going to, some of them say, the gates of heaven, and if it's not their time, they're told, like, sorry, you can't come in, you've got to go back. So how can this chair really be mostly empty space, the one I'm sitting on, the one you're sitting on? I mean, we don't know the how of a lot of things, but physics tells us if you take a look in a microscope at this chair that you're sitting on, it's mainly empty space. So how is it possible that it can be strong like that, that you can sit on it, you can actually stomp on it, and it doesn't collapse? We don't know the how of a lot of how life works. We just see the evidence of it. And that's what our spiritual journey is about. And that's what Easter is about, is to think about, what can I do in this circumstance? Not how is it going to happen, but what can I do? We have to readjust our thinking. Jesus tells us you just cannot judge by appearances. And that was something that he taught all along. And for a very short time while he was on the cross, and even before, he questioned. And then he remembered that there's much more going on here. And when I open up to it, what are the possibilities? So when we judge according to appearance, we can easily miss the real truth. And how many times have you been in a situation where you judged it based on what you're seeing, and then you find out later the understory, and you go, boy, did I ever get that wrong? Even in your own situation. So you cannot know things by what you see and feel and sense and touch, because we're more than that. We are actually spirit in this physical body, in this flesh suit. And there is so much more that is happening that we can't see, but we sense it. Don't you? Do you sense it? You could say God did something on that day, worked miracles, dazzled all of us with impossibilities like raising Jesus from the dead. And it is not for us to wonder why. It's to simply accept and know that this is God. But then that puts God out there, doesn't it? And so what good does that do? God did a miracle that day with that guy. But what about me? In other words, it doesn't help us, and it's misleading if we think that Jesus, as God, living for a while as a man, playing out a little drama to prove God's tremendous power of the world was the only reason that he came here. No, it isn't. Because he said to people, and I'm not often really biblical, but I am today because it is Easter. He did say to people that everything that I can do, you can do and more. So he wasn't this great, unusual individual. He was an example for all of us. And unfortunately, the way that it's been displayed, in my opinion, this idea that if you're going to be really spiritual, you'll get crucified, can be kind of scary. I think that's why there's such negative connotation to telling anybody that you're spiritual. And it's an unconscious thing, I believe. But how often do you just kind of start up with a spiritual conversation with somebody that you don't know? Like most of us, it's like, no way. Because there's this belief that there's this negative thing about being spiritual, about understanding who we are. And we are so are we to simply go off and think that at one time God visited the earth and walked with man? Because there are a lot of people in the world today who are waiting for God to walk on earth again. The thing is, hey, look in the mirror. Here you are, in your glory. Sometimes maybe it's not so glorious, but here you are. And now that we all can do, or I can't even read today, that now all we can do to find everlasting life or salvation or hope or victory is to look back 2,000 years and believe that it happened, and believe in him and believe in God. And that doesn't work for me. I want it to be relevant for me in my life today. And it is because I understand that everything that he did, I can do too, in some way or another. Anything that he did, you can do too. You have this powerful mind. And if you think about it this way, your subconscious is like a Ferrari. It is magnificent. It is the best of the best of the best. And your conscious mind, the mind that you think with, is the driver of that Ferrari. But how many of us have been taught how to drive this Ferrari very well? That's what we come here for on a Sunday, is to learn how to fully use this beautiful Ferrari that is who we are. And that Ferrari isn't going to go anywhere unless you direct it. And if you direct it to go into a snowbank, that's where it'll go. But if you direct it to go to your most favorite beach, then that's where it'll go. And, that may sound like a simple metaphor, but that's how life works. Yes, and she agrees with me. So in my view, Jesus was not God becoming man for a while. Jesus was man. No ordinary man, for sure. A highly developed man, but a man, flesh and blood, like you and me. Jesus was a man on a quest, a man working to understand his true nature, to demonstrate his divine potential. And each of us are having an opportunity to do that every time that we have a thought. Jesus was one of us. And the theme of Jesus' gospel is about your potential in terms of the person that you can be. And I think that that's a rarely heard message. I think it gets lost in all of the dogma. And again, that's my opinion, because there's such a beautiful underlying story in the story of his life and what he brought to the world. The Easter story speaks to the fundamental principles that Jesus understood about life. It tells you some things about yourself, that there is a fundamental real-life genius within you, and it's struggling sometimes to be liberated because it's been hidden by whatever reasons. And if you can get into the consciousness even a little bit, the consciousness that Jesus experienced, and let Easter live in you, then the stones of all kinds of limitation can be rolled away from your tomb. Boy, and I have felt like I've been in a dark tomb sometimes. And I've wished that someone could roll the stone away, not realizing that I could do that myself, that it was a choice. You have a choice. Many of us could talk about some pretty terrible tombs, maybe right now even. And yet it's simple. It's not always easy. You'll have to work, study, and discipline yourself, and you're going to have to keep on and keep on and keep on. Because I don't know about you, I have great intentions first thing in the morning or right after something terrible has happened, and I say, okay, I'm going to do that every time now. And then I forget. So what can you do for yourself to remind yourself? Maybe it's sticky note on your mirror. Maybe it's reading your favorite spiritual book or opening something up to remind you. Maybe it's coming here. Maybe it's calling a friend who is like-minded, just to remind you of the truth of who you are. Because if we fail to note the commitment and discipline of Jesus' own quest, it can be easily understood. Because there are hints and stories throughout the Bible, whether you've read it or not, you've heard many of them, that talk about his humanity. He didn't come into this life with a particular level of consciousness. He was born as a baby and grew up to be a man. And it's not that he couldn't make mistakes, because that would be to misunderstand the story. Jesus was a man on a quest and a man experiencing and overcoming and having much to overcome. There's a series that we're watching here on Wednesdays called The Chosen. And we've watched the first 2 seasons, and the third season is available now. So Wednesdays from noon until about 1:30, we'll be watching the third part of Jesus' life. But it's from the perspective of the disciples. So it's really a well-told story. I think you'd enjoy it. You're welcome to join us. Or watch it online. But Jesus taught about non-resistance. Pray for them that despitefully use us. See, there I go again. Words are going all over the place for me today. It's all this energy. Maybe it's the chocolate I had. Yeah, we'll blame it on that. You know, I don't think there was anyone 2,000 years ago that was telling that story. That pray for those that don't know, that they're hurting us or hurting others, and see in them the possibility that they can change. And yet there was a time when Jesus also got angry. I mean, he whipped the money changers out of the temple. He simply blew his top. And, you know, I've blown my top. Boy, it doesn't feel good to get to that place where you finally just go, ah! But sometimes that happens, and that's also being human. And he was human. Not to put Jesus down, but to lift us up, to recognize that in his humanity, he was able to do all of these amazing things as well, and overcome even the worst thing, which was being crucified by some government. And to know that he was a man on a quest. And he was continually working and meeting these experiences. And isn't that what we're doing too? Every time that usually when we have a bad experience, it's a real good teachable moment. But why not have every experience a teachable moment, even the moments of gratitude? I mean, he wept over Jerusalem. He was disturbed by the fact that his disciples let him down. And of course, anybody would be. Anybody would be. And Jesus was anybody. He was one of us. He just had a higher level of consciousness. He was kind of like doing his master's degree in human potential and achieving his own doctorate. Finally overcoming the beliefs that he thought he couldn't overcome. And that's basically the story of Easter for all of us, is that if you put limits on yourself, no one else has really put those limits on you but you. And that you can change your mind. And you can say, I'll let Easter be my idea of potential. What are you capable of? You know, a note that you can last for 3 minutes as you're singing, or whatever that might be. And it's about working with spiritual laws. Like electricity, we can't see it, but it works. Spiritual laws are the same. What you think about comes about. So what you focus on grows. If you're unforgiving, you'll have more reasons to be in that place of unforgiveness. It was not some one-time miracle of God, but the demonstration of the process that is repeatable. Because under law, that which has been done can be done. And so if you remember nothing else from today, he overcame, and that's the metaphor in my mind of the story, that no matter how bad it got, he made the decision to not let that hold him down. Jesus proved the divinity of man and the law of transcendence, and transcendence meaning that you look beyond appearances to what is the potential of what's going on. And that's how people have spiritual healing. And I don't know how that works, but I do know from my own experiences that when I wasn't able to pray for myself, to understand for myself the truth of my being, that my health transformed the moment that I allowed the belief that I could be transformed to happen. And so that's rising from the dead too. And you can overcome anything. We can achieve and rise above limitations because there is this law that when you truly believe, then anything is possible. There's a woman who, I watched a video, and she was a hypnotherapist, very well known. She works for Mind Valley now, if you've ever seen those classes online. And she said people would come to her and they would automatically be healed just walking in the door because they had heard that she was so amazing. And she said to the audience, it had nothing to do with me. They believed that I could do it, so it happened. That's how powerful we are. So if you believe that something is possible, whether it's a negative or a positive, that's what you're going to get. And if you need the dog and pony show, and I'll call her that, or someone else that you might be looking up
to have you believe that it's possible, then that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Just let it happen. Jesus understood that, and he demonstrated it. And this is the key to success in your life and in mine. Like, he had no doubt. He said to Lazarus, pick up your mat and walk. And he believed so much that this guy could say that and it would happen, and it had nothing to do with Jesus. Lazarus got up. Every person may have their own crucifixions and tombs of limitation. And I doubt if there's one of us here that hasn't had some terrible situation, some form or another. You don't get to be this age and not have experienced a certain amount. But there's always within us this possibility, this opportunity to roll away the stone, to go from darkness to light. Because there is nothing outside of the law. There is nothing outside of gravity. Gravity on earth works. Spiritual law, wherever we are as human beings, works. So what's happened was a promise of what can happen in life and under the law to all persons. So you can overcome. It's a choice. And sometimes it can take a long time to get there. But think about some of the worst things that have happened to you. 5 years later, 10 years later, you look back and, wow, how did you get here? And you're a different person as a consequence of it. So don't get hung up on the cross, because that, to me, you know, I walk into some of these beautiful, magnificent buildings, and there is a picture of, or a statue and a cross of Jesus on the worst day of his life, I think. And that's really not what spirituality means to me, or even Easter. I would rather see a great big sun or a aha of some kind, because that's what it means to me. Easter is an opportunity to realize that Jesus was about your divine potential. And the key, not that he was crucified, not that he rose, but that he was able to finally deal with it in the right level of consciousness. You know, you hear of people who have to adopt because they haven't been able to get pregnant, for instance, and then the moment that they decide they're going to adopt, they get pregnant. And it's because they finally gave up. They finally just relaxed into it. And that is what I believe happened in this story of Jesus, is that when he finally relaxed into it was when he rose. And think about you when you finally let go of whatever it was that you were hanging on. What happened? There's an interesting statement in the book of Job, and it can open the way to understanding Easter as well. And it goes like this: I had heard of thee with the hearing of the ear, but now mine eye seeth thee. And that's also talking to, you may see something or hear something, but until you have that moment within yourself where you kind of let go, and then you really know, there's a huge difference there. You know, how many times have you said, or you've heard someone say, why should this happen to me? I'm such a spiritual person. I'm a good man. I'm a good woman. Why should this happen to me? And there are no answers. But being in that place of asking that question keeps you there. Because then you're stuck in the how is it going to happen? Why not just let it go? Instead of saying, why did this happen to me? Be like the little boy who's digging in the pile of manure, saying there must be a pony in here somewhere. See, in the end, Jesus realized something that's very beautiful and something that many of us have come to know through our insight and truth. The need is not to set things right or to straighten people out or to get all the answers on what's going on. The need is not to set it right, but to see it rightly. You've heard that said? To get to the level of consciousness where we can let go and stop resisting and stop saying, how did it happen? Why did it happen? Why me? To see from a clear perspective, to see through the darkness. Because everything works out ultimately. And you know, we teach here at Unity, and I believe it to be true, that everything is good unfolding. Everything is good unfolding. And in the middle of something that you might have going on right now, to say, everything's working out for me. I know it is. Just hasn't shown up yet. But I'm open. I'm ready. We can come to a point in life where we can look back at our experiences and see them as crucifixions and tombs. Just like being fired unjustly, or an accident that wasn't your own doing, or a physical problem that struck you down, or a rejection by a loved one. You know, when we sit in that place of just sitting in that place, you get to sit in that place. And all of these things, which are such a great heartache at the time, somehow we're blessed by them. If you live long enough, you're blessed by them. Because some of them we hang on for quite a while. Like Kimi, the little dog, who is ever hopeful that she gets to go to the back of the room and sniff the other dog that's here. And that's the spirit within us that's forever hopeful. I don't know how it happened or why it happened, yet I now can see that it was probably the best thing that ever happened to me. And I can truly say that some of the worst things that I thought were the worst for me have turned out to be blessings in disguise. You know, by the grace of God go I. It's about releasing the desire to set it right and trying to know all the ins and outs about it. To be able to just, no matter how bad someone is behaving, to just let it go. Let it go. Know that there is a way, and it resides right here in your heart center. And that's the Easter perspective, where you lift your eyes up and you see it from a higher point of view. The Bible uses mountaintops to reveal this idea of a higher perspective. So everything always works out for me. Can you say that with me? Everything always works out for me. In other words, it is the lifting up of the eyes that really counts, and to see things from a transcendent view. And it's interesting, there's a physical thing that happens when you look up. Not when you raise your head, but when you actually look up and try to imagine looking through the middle of your forehead, you go naturally into a state called alpha, which is a state of receptivity. So part of us wants to suffer, wants to feel sorry for ourselves and get sympathy from others. I've been there. We get so embroiled in the difficulty. Why did they do that? What happened to me? Yet when you get to the truth, you can find a higher perspective and know that it's possible. To see beyond the dark tunnel, because there is a light at the end of the tunnel. It's not another train. So raise your awareness, turn away from the flaws, from the limitation, from the stupid ways that people are behaving at times, and take on this Easter perspective, that there is a pony in there somewhere. Tune into the divine dimension within you, and suddenly you'll have new ideas and new ways to do things. Have you ever noticed that? When, you know, it hurts to squeeze your hand, and when you let go, there's this release. And it's the same in our thinking. Turning away from appearances. Don't worry about the how. It's not up to you. So Easter isn't just about death or about being resurrected. It's a consciousness of infinite possibilities. So are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready for a new experience? Say this one with me. All things work together for good. So somehow, some way, everything that's going on is revealing the good. And maybe it hasn't shown up yet, or maybe you just didn't notice. There are tremendous possibilities, especially in the challenges in life. I know I got really quite wordy, so I'm just going to jump through it here. Everything is good unfolding. Everything. So the next time something negative happens, say, there's something good here. I don't know what it is yet, but there's something good here. And let's say this together if you'd like. I choose a higher perspective, seeing the good, seeing the potentialities, seeing the blessings, and I am an influence for good wherever I go. Yes, you are, and so it is. So let's rise up with Emilio.
Okay.
It's coming. You're broken down and tired of living life on a merry-go-round, and you can't find a fighter, but I see it in you, so we're gonna walk it out. Move mountains, we're gonna walk it out and move mountains. And I'll rise up, rise like the day. I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. And I'll rise up high like the waves. I'll rise up in spite of the ache. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you, for you, for you. When the silence isn't quiet and it feels like it's getting harder to breathe, and I know you feel like dying, but I promise we'll take the world to its feet and move mountains. Take it to its feet and move mountains. And I'll rise up, rise like the day. I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you, for you, for you. All we need is hope, and for that we have each other, and for that we have each other. We will rise, we will rise, we will rise, oh, rise, we'll rise. I'll rise up, rise like the day. I'll rise up in spite of the ache. I will rise, I will rise 1,000 times again, and we'll rise up, rise like the waves. We'll rise up in spite of the ache. We'll rise up, and we'll do it 1,000 times again. For you,
What is your takeaway today? There's a wonderful message in there. I hope you got it. And what I took away was the Easter perspective. Where I lift my eyes, that's where I see my life from a transcendent view. And so it is. Let us turn our attention to conscious giving. It's our time to practice the law of circulation, and that could be in the form of financial giving and receiving, also blessing, praising. Right here in the sanctuary, we accept your gifts through the passing of the basket, and for those online, we accept e-transfers to our email, admin@unityspiritualcenter.com, and we ask that if you make a check out to us, it's written to Unity Spiritual Center. We are also grateful not only for your financial support, but the ways in which we come together through volunteering, through the prayers you say for our community, for any of the loving thoughts that you bring to this wonderful gathering. And so I ask that you place your hands on your heart and say with me, divine love that I am blesses all I give and all I receive. And I have an announcement. April 22nd, we will have a course conducted by our very own Reverend Anne called Meditation as Art. It's an in-person course between 6 to 8 weeks, and it's on a donation basis between the hours of 1 p.m. and 3 p.m., starting Saturday, April 22nd.
So you don't need to know how to do art. We're going to just meditate a little bit, and open-eyed meditation, we're going to create a layered something together. So it should be quite fun, I think.
When I am down and oh my soul so weary, when troubles come and my heart burdened be, then I am still and wait here in the silence until you come and sit a while with me. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. Raise me up to more than I can be. There is no life without its hunger. Each restless heart beats so imperfectly, but when you come, then I am filled with wonder. Sometimes I think I've glimpsed eternity. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. Raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up to more than I can be.
Wow. That's amazing. And know that we're here to pray with you. And prayer isn't about fixing anything. It's about remembering the truth of who you are. And I can hold that consciousness for you, and our prayer team can, when you forget. And that's what prayer is really all about. So know that you can send us a prayer request. There are prayer request forms on the back of the chairs that you can place in the prayer box. You can call Silent Unity. They're available 24/7. Or you can look at them online and they will send you an email back with a prayer. There are many ways to remember the truth about who you are. So let's say the prayer for protection to close this out before we do our last song, written by James Dillett Freeman. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. And so it is. And a beautiful song by Karen Drucker.
It's a fun song. Everything I need to know is right here. There's a power deep inside of me. I'm being guided to the answers, and this truth has set me free. I am healed, I already know it. I am healed, it's already here. I am healed, glory, hallelujah. I am healed, I am healed, I am healed, I already know it. I am healed, it's already here. I am healed, oh glory, hallelujah.
Oh, so thank you everyone for coming out and for watching us online. Those of you in the sanctuary, if you didn't get a chance to get your little Easter bunny, come and see our lady in the fascinator. She has an Easter bunny for you. And we'll see you next week. Bye for now. And for those of you that didn't hear what was just being said, we're celebrating everybody's birthdays this month with a cake. So come and eat cake. Oh, Marcia, happy birthday. So maybe we should sing to you.
Okay. All right. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Everyone born in the month of April. Happy birthday to you. God is blessing you now. God is blessing you now. God is blessing you. You are wonderful. God